Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. I'm a little bit late. Things happen. What happened? Revive Newt with the gifted subs. The she-boss with the gifted subs. Thank you all. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Code Wars Code Katas. It's been a while since we've done Code Wars Code Katas. And I'll tell you about it now. If you go to codewars.com, this is a website where you can solve coding challenges, coding problems. They're called katas, and they range in difficulty all the way from 8Q, which is actually the easiest. So it goes, the higher numbers are easier, the lower numbers are harder. So 8Q all the way up to 1Q. Today, I think we're gonna keep it chill and easy. We're gonna stick in the 8 to 5Q range. So that'll be fun. But we've been doing the show for a long time. This is the first time we've done it in months, though. Taking a break. Now, so I'm not going to try a 1Q because typically a 1Q will take me like 3 episodes to solve. I usually can't solve it in a single episode. And we want to have a chill morning. It's morning for me anyways. But if you go to github.com/codinggarden/code-katas, all of the code from all of the past episodes is here. And hey, Pascal up 993, thank you for that Prime sub. And there's also a YouTube playlist of all the past episodes as well, so the code in the video is lined up. And I think that's it. If you do, well, you don't have to do this because I'm doing this, but later on, if somebody needs it, here's all that info that I just talked about. There's the website, there's the GitHub repo, there's the YouTube playlist, all that good stuff. A lot of content. And I just want to thank all the supports we've had. Callum with the 100 bits, John with that 6-month resub says good morning. Revive Newt. It's been a while, Revive Newt. I haven't been able to stream in the evenings, which I think is when you used to tune in, but I appreciate you. Thank you for staying subbed for the past 9 months. I really, really appreciate it. And Klein with 5 months, Unfair with 8-month resub, William Cameron, Hello World, keep up the awesome content. Thank you. And Adamate with that 8-month resub as well. Oh yeah. Revive Newt has a tier 3 sub. And also Revive Newt with the 5 gifted and the She-Boss with the gifted. And who dat? Submicron with the Prime sub? 6-month resub? I didn't see the notification. Did it just happen? I don't know why we didn't see a notification, but Submicron, I appreciate you. Thank you for those 6 months. And Hypnosis with the Prime sub. There it is. Thank you for that Prime sub as well. All right. Let's see. We need to say hello. I know that we at least need to do that. But I'm thinking, like, maybe... I was thinking we start off with... It's not necessarily an algorithm of the day, but a useful JavaScript tip of the day. I think we'll start with that. What's today's mood? It's pretty good. I got probably the most sleep I've gotten in a while. Kind of ready to write some code. I'm ready for. I mean, I don't have any morning reading. Hey, Greg, 10 months. Thank you very much, Greg. We're slowly approaching where people will have been subscribed to my channel for a year, which is kind of crazy. And Fight with the tier 1 sub. I'm curious why we're not seeing these in these notifications. Tip, use semicolons or not. I mean, whether or not you use semicolons is not going to make you a better JavaScript developer. Okay. Why am I not seeing notifications? Oh yeah, I saw your message, Alka. I appreciate that. And I think I already have the follower filter here. But actually let's see them because we can see the hard work that Alka did. And hey, Melinda, thank you for that resub. Look at this! We can see followers now. That's pretty dope. Mr. Ben Coder says they subscribed. It didn't show up. Maybe it didn't go through because I don't even see it on Alka's page. I just want to see it work. Yeah, it works. Oh wait, I just hit it again. I guess we don't have to hide it. Keep it around. Yeah. Hey, yeah, that's awesome, Revive Newt. Thanks for sticking around. Use tab versus spaces. Again, using tab versus spaces will not make you a better programmer. We didn't say hello yet. I think we're just gonna jump right into it. We're going right in. Vanisher, thank you for that upgraded sub from SWFT Dev originally, and Jim McDonald with the 9-month resub. Wow. Came for the feathers, stay for the beans. Doesn't everybody? Okay. Let's make a directory called JavaScript tips. I mean, this isn't really a JavaScript tip. This is more because it's kind of algorithms. I'll tell you what I have in mind in a second. Let's just call it coding. Can someone come up with an alliteration? Coding quick tips. I think that's good enough. I'll go with what I suggested. Coding quick tips. We'll make it a YouTube video. Okay. Oh, that's good to hear, Melinda. Just hanging out. Have me on in the background. Coding Q-tips. No. Okay. Let me just go ahead and get set up here. We'll have a JavaScript file. And I think I'm going to basically like start it off as a YouTube video, but I want to have some code to start, so that way I can talk about it. And I'm gonna use Pokemon because Pokemon's on the brain. So we have ID number 25, and the name is Pikachu. And we need some other Pokemon. Does anyone know like the original Pokédex numbers of some of the other Pokemons? Like, wait, is Bulbasaur number 1? I'm gonna go ahead and guess Bulbasaur is number 1. Am I right? Bulbasaur. Pokemon Go versus Pokemon Node.js. 1 is Bulbasaur? Alright. And then, what about Eevee? Does anybody know the Pokédex number for Eevee? Eevee. There is an API for that, but I'm not worried about APIs right now. We're mainly going to talk about how we can access this data in an efficient way. Yeah, let's do Mewtwo. That's definitely 151. And thank you, George. 133. Mewtwo is Eevee. And we'll do the last one. I guess we'll do Charizard. Everybody likes Charizard, so we'll do Charizard. I mean, I like Charizard too, but he's a bit overhyped. Okay, this is the code that we're gonna start with. Yeah, this is great. Okay, we're gonna do a, and then we'll jump into the coding quick tip with this code. But I need to do that, I think. I think iTerm got an update, and it's like having weird resizing issues. Oh yeah, you're right. We don't have a water type. Okay, so we've got electric, leaf, grass, fire, colorless, psychic. I mean, we're technically missing fighting and water type, but yeah, give me a water type. I guess we could do Squirtle. We could. Yeah, okay. So we could go a lot of places with this if we add the type. All right, we'll do it. Magikarp, that's the one. Is it 129? Well, thank you, the jive. Magic. Oh no. Okay. ID is 129, and the name is Magikarp. I caught a Magikarp in Pokemon Go yesterday. It was literally just flopping in my front yard, and I caught it. Okay. The type. Well, actually, I'm not gonna add the type. I want this to be like a 5-minute video. This should be good. Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna do like a really quick focus mode, and we're gonna make some coding content for the YouTubes. I need to get this going though, because the redemptions are not showing up. 20 minutes ago. Okay, we'll use that focused, and we'll hydrate twice. Thank you, Danielle and White Boy. Cheers. Also, there was a notification I missed. Who was it? Big Daddy. Thank you for that 8-month resub. Very much appreciated. And Jim. I think I said thanks, but thank you. Okay. No, what did I just do? Okay. We'll get there. Posture check. Thank you, William. William, thank you. And Repo Man with the hydrate. Here we go. Hopefully we can get this done in like less than 8 minutes. And then we'll say hi to everybody. All right, there's focus mode. Do this. A little bit of this. Okay, is everyone ready? One more. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. I'm going to leave that in because this is live. Not for you, probably, who's watching this, but this is going to be a coding quick tip. Now, we can look at this code here. We have an array of Pokemon objects. We've got this object that has the name Pikachu. It has the ID 25. We have this object that has the name Bulbasaur. It has the ID 1, etc. We have a lot of Pokemon, right? And if we wanted to write some code to get access to one of these Pokemon, right? So let's say we want to get Eevee out of this array. There's a lot of different ways to do it, right? There are actually some built-in methods in JavaScript to access that item. So let's just use one of those built-in methods, right? So there is the find higher order method. Excuse me. I guess there's also index of, but we couldn't exactly use it in this case because they're objects, so we would need a reference. But let's use the find higher order method, right? So we want to find the object in this array that has the ID 133. So we'll say Eevee is Pokemon.find. This accepts a callback function that's going to give you each individual Pokemon in that array. So actually, let's rename this variable to Pokemons, plural, because there's multiple Pokemons. Pokemon? And then this function gets called on every... well, it gets called with every element in this array. So it's going to get called with Pikachu, it's going to get called with Bulbasaur, it's going to get called with Charizard, etc. And we want to return true if the ID is 133, right? So I'll just write that code right here. I'll say return Pokemon.id equals 133. Let's take a quick stretch. Pokimane? PokeMongoDB? You all are fun. You're funny. You're funny people. Okay, so this code should work. I'll go ahead and run it. But this will give us back Eevee. It should work, right? Should work. Easy enough. So let's just run this code with Node.js. There we go. We got back Eevee. Great. We're programmers. We can search through an array. Now, this example array is not that big, so it's not a big deal that we have to actually search through the array to find the thing, right? So the one thing to think about with this code is the fact that it has to visit every Pokemon before Eevee until we find Eevee, right? So it has to look at Pikachu. Is its ID 25? It's not. It has to look at Bulbasaur. Is its ID 133? Because that's the one we're searching for. It's not. We look at Bulbasaur. Is the ID 133? It's not. We look at Charizard. Is the ID 133? It's not. We look at Eevee. Is the ID 133? It is. We are done. And so this is fine. If you have small arrays, that's fine. But what I want to show you, and that's what this coding quick tip is about, is when you need to look things up by ID or some other type of identifier, instead of writing a find function like this, you can do a little bit of work ahead of time and then get instant access after that. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to build up a dictionary where all of the keys in the dictionary are the IDs of the Pokemon, and all the values are the Pokemon themselves. And that way, we can literally just reach into that dictionary and say, please look up the Pokemon with ID 133, and that's a constant time lookup. So let's do that now. I'll do it manually, let's say, without a reduce. So what we're going to do is just, we'll have, we'll call this Pokemons by ID. and this is going to be an object. In JavaScript, your object is basically, it's a dictionary, it's a hash map, it's you can basically look up things by their property in the object. Yeah, and it actually is faster in terms of code speed. So I mean, if we're looking at the runtime of this algorithm, in the worst case, the runtime is order n. So let's say we're searching for Magikarp, right? So let's say we wanted to write the code to look for Magikarp. We want to find where the Pokemon ID is equal to 129. This is the worst case scenario because Magikarp is at the end of the array. So we have to look at the ID of every single one until we get to the end, and then we finally find Magikarp. And technically this is worst case because we literally had to traverse the entire array. Now, in this example, the array isn't that big. It's not that big a deal. But if there were thousands of items or millions of items, this would take a really long time just to find that one. Yeah, it's big O of n. So what we're going to do now is organize these things by ID. And ultimately what we're going to end up with is an object where the keys are the ID. So it'll be like 25. And the values are the Pokemons themselves. So this would be, in this case, Pikachu. Pikachu. Great. And then similarly with these other ones, so we'd have a item in this object where the key is 129 and the value is that object itself. So we're basically going to build this ourselves from scratch using the information we have in the array. And what that's going to allow us to do is instant lookup. So what I can say is I can say, let's just call it found Pokemon. Will be Pokemons by ID, and then in JavaScript you can use bracket notation to do a lookup on an object, and here I can just say 25, and that will give me instantly, that'll just reach in and just grab this. Boom. We don't even have to search for it. And then if I do 129 right here, it just literally reaches into this object and grabs it. I don't even have to search for it. And so that's the beauty of a data structure like this. Now, in JavaScript, we call it an object. In other languages, they call it a dictionary or a hash map, but it all has the same property that you have constant time lookup. Okay, yeah, so, but no, let's actually build this thing ourselves. So first of all, we need to iterate over this array, right? Oh, if it's not found, in this case, you would have get back undefined. You could also actually use a map. Like there's literally a data structure in JavaScript called a map that you could use as well, but that has like a get and a set method, but this is simple enough. So let's iterate over all the Pokemons. So I have a for loop that goes from 0 up until the length of the Pokemons. And so this loop is going to run. We're going to grab each individual Pokemon by index. Pokemons at I. So when I is 0, we're going to get Pikachu, because that's the 0th one, or the first one in the array. When I is 1, we're going to get Bulbasaur. When I is 2, we're going to get Charizard, etc. So it's going to grab it by index. Now, so we have the Pokemon, we want to put it into this object by ID. So what I can do is I can say Pokemons by ID, then use bracket notation to set, and I'll say Pokemon.id. So this is going to either create the property on the object or replace it, and we're going to set it equal to that Pokemon. Easy enough. And now, after this for loop has run, we have the Pokemons by ID. So let me just actually comment out the finds here, and we should just see that object organized by ID. Boom. So now we have this lookup table, this hash map, this dictionary where we can just say, hey, I want the Pokemon with ID 129, and we can instantly reach in and grab it. Or I want the Pokemon with ID 151, and we can instantly reach in and grab it. So let's do that. So very similarly, if we wanted to grab Eevee, all we would have to do is say Pokemons by ID at the property 33. That should give us Eevee, and then if I do this at 129, that should give us Magikarp. 133, not 33, yeah. And so this is what happens if it's not found, you get back undefined. But if we put something that is defined, we'll get that. And DV Man, thank you for that Prime sub. And there we go. So this is your quick tip. If you need to search through an array to find a thing, and you're doing it often, it's actually much more performant to first do this work up front. Now, this work up front is, this actually is big O of n, but you do it once. You do this once, and now that you have your dictionary, it's really easy to look things up. Now, in the last part of this video, we're just going to do we're going to turn this into a reduce, because this right here, my friends, if you've never used a reduce on an array, that's basically what we're doing here. We're reducing an array into an object. So we could do this. We could say Pokemons by ID. We'll call this reduced Pokemons by ID. And all we got to do is say Pokemons dot reduce. This is very similar to find in that we have a function that's going to get called on every element, but we need our accumulator, and so actually this is going to be our accumulator right here by ID, and we right here can define what our initial value of the accumulator is, and in this case Pokemons by ID is our accumulator, so the initial value is an empty object, or is like a blank object. So right here I'll say the initial value of by ID is an empty object. Then inside of this reduce, I'll say by ID at Pokemon.id equals that given Pokemon. And then your reducer function always needs to return the accumulator so that it can be used in the next iteration. And this, my friends, is doing the exact same thing that this for loop is doing right here. But at this point, we now have reduced Pokemons by ID. So we'll just log that out. And it should work the same way. Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, I'm not done, mainly because I do want to show you a map as well, which basically works the same way, but it's more fit for purpose. So there's this data structure that was added in ES 2015 called a map, and it's much more explicit. So instead of using bracket notation here, we actually just say by ID dot set, and so you pass in what is the key and what is the value, like this. Like that. Again, the code isn't much different, but what is different is how you access things. So when I log this out, it should look similar. You can see it looks a little bit similar, right? But if I actually want to get access to things, you actually use a method on it. So you can say reduced mapped Pokemons by ID dot get and then pass in the key. And so if we pass in 133, we should get back Eevee. Look at that. There's Eevee right there. Okay, so I'm done. Again, there are more implications of using a map. There's a difference in what the keys are, but that's not what we're worried about here. What we're worried about, in the main point of this coding quick tip, is if you need to search through an array and you're doing it often. Like if you only had to do a find once, not that bad. But if you're doing it constantly, then it makes sense to do the work up front and then use that later on so you don't have to do the work later. All right, that's it for this coding quick tip. Thank you everyone for watching. Yeah, that's it. Bye. Everyone say bye, YouTube. Code quickies. Coding content. Bye, coding content. Okay, great. If you learned something in that coding quick tip, smile in the chat. And hey, Blink, thank you for that Prime resub. Very much appreciated. And DV Man, I don't know if I missed that, but thank you as well. Bye. Bye. Okay. We're gonna. I'll push this code up so you can see it. Actually, I'll just throw it in a gist really quick because it's simple stuff. What's cooking? Not much. We're gonna do some code katas. So this is gonna be fun. Basically solving algorithmic style problems. Code quick tip. Gist is pretty sweet. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with this is a GitHub thing where you can just create, it's kind of like a paste bin. You can create a file, but also it has syntax highlighting if you specify the language type. There's the code. Check it out. All right, let's say hi to everybody. Anybody that is new here, we can play the drop game, but there's a question from Anna Codes. So if you had a large array of data, you're looking up on a web page, you use that tip on every page load, for example. Yes. So when the page loads, you do that once, right? So you iterate over the thing once to generate the map or generate the object or the dictionary, and then from then on out, if you need something by ID, you just use it, and then it's constant time. So this is. I see so many JavaScript apps using a find. I mean, another thing is potentially like index of. or anything that needs to iterate the array, they're using this like crazy. And what they don't realize is if you have this in a lot of places in your code, your app's going to be slow, especially if this array is really, really long. But if you do this first, you only have to wait that amount one time, and then after that it's constant time lookup. So yeah, basically you could do it on page load. The other thing is if you're in control of the API, your API could actually return this object here, right? It could return an object that has keys and values instead of returning an array, and then you don't even have to do that work on the front end. Yeah. Random gists have helped. No, me too. They're like, people post random gists of like solutions to things and other stuff like, yeah, like it's crazy. Yeah, we've done some Arduino stuff and Raspberry Pi stuff. Yeah, and Doc has the facts. ES6 maps are faster and better as key value stores and specific for numeric keys. Yeah, so you saw at the very end I used a map. The thing is, if this tip is for beginners, you start introducing new stuff, we get in the weeds. But this is how I do it these days, especially because an object here potentially has some security vulnerabilities. Like you could actually say Pokemon's by ID bracket constructor. And this would actually give you access to the object constructor, and then you could do like code injection and stuff like that. But that's really, you really only have to worry about this if the key into this is like a user provided value. In our case, it's not. But with a map, you don't have to worry about that. Use a map. Basically, use a map. Hey, what's up, Katsamillion? I need to start using the new stuff like maps. Yeah. Okay. We talked about the drop game, but we didn't do it. So if in the chat, if you do ! drop me, that will drop your avatar from the sky, like so. And if it lands in the garden, you'll get your name on the screen for just a little bit. No more tips today, but I think we can make it a recurring thing. I can try to come up with, like, what are the things I do all the time that I wished every other JavaScript developer, or every other programmer in general, did as well. Yeah, and obviously I solved this with JavaScript. This does not just apply to JavaScript. Any programming language that has arrays and you need to do like lookups on arrays, you could benefit from this. Another thing like map is set. Hey, Bobhead. Thank you for the 100 bits. Actually, I'll leave a note for myself. Tips, stop markdown. So I want to, next time, tune in next time, we'll talk about a set. And specifically, we'll talk about how you can use that to get unique values in an array. Something like that. That's for next time. Yeah. I mean, a quick explanation is that once you've defined a private field, it's not accessible to the outside world. This hashtag, this pound sign, is just the newer syntax. I don't even, did this get accepted? Is this a stage 4 proposal? Does anybody know? Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen this tip before where instead of having a giant object defined in your JavaScript code, you literally have a JSON.parse in your code and it's faster. Yeah, I've seen that. What did you miss? We did a coding quick tip. All right, let's say hi to everybody. I appreciate you all for being here. We're gonna get started pretty soon solving some code katas. I think we're gonna keep it easy. We're gonna do 8s, 7 Qs. This is gonna be good for beginners to watch, because typically what I do is I solve the problem in like at least 3 different ways, sometimes 5, 10 different ways, and we talk about the pros and cons of each. We explore different ways of doing things in JavaScript. So it'll be good to keep it easy, so that way we can spend more time showing the different ways to solve stuff. Okay, and thank you for those pack redemptions. We'll do those just in a little bit. Solve an 8 in as many languages as you can. That's potentially YouTube content. I have over 100,000 subscribers now. I got to start putting out content that people want to. I mean, I guess I don't have to. I can keep doing what I'm doing. Regardless, let's say hi. So if you say hi, hello, hey, morning, afternoon, evening, howdy, g'day, coding hiyo, vohiyo, or bogahay, if you say any of these things, my chat will filter it, and that will be the only thing that we see, just like this. Like, there's other chats coming in right now, but we don't see them. We only see the ones that are hellos. And we're going to go back in time to 42 minutes ago. Look at that. To when Doc said hello. What's up, Doc? And hello, BF Moritz and D-Hugh. And who else? Dewanch and Danielle and Justam Bogahay. What's up? Abagroon and Dumpertalk and White Boy and Oleg and Havercake and Salty and Commodore and Chris Jones and Username and Abagrawal and T2HO. And Sequel Quartster, happy Wednesday to you too. Hello, John Cardozo and Dr. Danny and Sightseer Lulamwe and Ari Mate. How's it going? And Manaruzaman Sakat. How's it going? Hello, Column. Majestic Eye. It's been a while. Thank you for being. I realize I stream really early for you, but yeah. Thanks for being here. And hello, Electrothermal Boga. Hey, what's up, Angie Berman and the She Boss and Drunk Time Lord and Binary King and Puzaro and Gabrielle and Revive Newt. Thanks for being here. Thanks for those gifted subs and supports earlier. Hello. What's up, Mr. Ben Coder and Nafto and Duck Code and Karthikal and Ajanai Yavarma and Acid. How's it going? Hello, Klein. I was a little bit busy. I set the countdown timer this morning to 10 minutes instead of 15 minutes. I thought I could make it happen, but it didn't. Quick question from Ultrafy. Where does the brackets Pokemon ID work? So this works in JavaScript, and so this is known as dynamic property access. Now, in my example, all of the keys were numbers. And in JavaScript, you can't have a property name. You can't access a property name directly that is a number, which is why I had to do this. However, if these were actually, okay, so just let it be known, this is dynamic property access. You can look this up. That's what this is, dynamic property access. And this is a dynamic property setting or setter. If these properties weren't numbers, you actually could just do Pokemon's by ID dot some property name. And then right here, Pokemon's by ID at some property name is how we would set it. Like that. Yeah, quick aside, but that is a dynamic property access and setting. And it works in JavaScript. It might work in some other languages too. And hello, Fiddlewack. And Alka, good morning. Hello, what's up, Max Cahill and The Vanisher and FM Sohal and Yash Saxon and DVMon and Repomon and Seventh Nonsense Secured. How's it going? Hello, Coders Jim and Darian White. Good day from Australia. Very cool. Hello, Tuzo and DevNode and Excalios and Frytaz and Avi. Hello. Gnome, who says they've been watching my videos on YouTube. Nice, thanks for being here. What's up, Mark? And Metalson and Martin Cluck and Nordchess. Hello, what's up, Limotes and Ambrosi Paval and Gerben and Xchance and Anacodes and Juziomashio. Thanks for being here. What's up, Amado? And Jama and Ziggy Dot and Bisty and Maven Durst and Night King and Programador and Colloquial Owl and Moon and Abel and Turtle Monkey and Moore and Harshit and Didafarb and Fibonacci and XT and Moscosa and Mark G, Marco, and Rahanim and Imstu and Pure Orange and Gold Zulu and Asir and Big Boots. Howdy, what's up, Cats a Million and Zero Fay and Afa and Industries and Majdog Bite and Designer and Geek and Lean MG Bogahay Prasanth. How to send a file or PDF to a backend without using a form action. So a form action would be like you're letting the browser do the upload, but if you're writing like JavaScript code, you could do a post request like with fetch, and the body could be like a file blob. So it's possible to do it without a form action. You can do it with JavaScript. What's up, Guga and Barak and Fana and Sana and Blank and Mooley and Koozie and Luzbell and Generic Trombone and Martin and Reekster. How's it going? Oh, thank you. And Stonk Overflow and Perez and Blizzard and Jords and Prawin and Killer Coder and F Society and Plan and Skylezone and Dimitri and Devin and Amr and DFV. How's it going, everybody? If you didn't get to say hi, if you say hi now, it'll show up. A file blob. Yeah, if you search for JavaScript upload file, you'll find the codes to do it. Yeah, and blob is it's literally a blob. If you've ever seen me write like fetch code to like, I typically do fetch.json. So like megafetch, fetch.json, or response.json parses the response. You can also do response.blob, and that actually gives you a file blob. And Bisp, it's going pretty good. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's go. How can we swap 2 elements on the DOM? Probably the same way that you would swap any other element. You would first need to remove it and then add it and append it. I think you can figure it out. I don't know why. So actually, I know why the redemptions aren't showing, because my Twitch token is expired and I haven't updated it. That's why they're not showing up. But it's okay. We'll go over here and look at them. And thank you, Coders Gym, for that hydrate. Cheers. Shuffle with the posture check. We have 3 open a pack of Pokemon cards. And while I'm thinking about it, we need to bring the allowed number way down, because last time it was like 20. Did I fix that? Okay, it's 10. All right, we're gonna go down to, we'll do 5 and only 1 per person. There we go. Okay, but let's go ahead. So I do want to open these cards, but I feel like we should start on Code Katas, right? Or should I just open a pack of cards? Right? I'll check out this 7Q. Thank you, Callum. We might do that one. 1. We'll do a poll. I realize a lot of you are here for the code, not for the Pokemon. And Kalos, thank you for that upgraded sub. That's very much appreciated. Initially gifted by I Am Forever. Okay, we're gonna, you don't have to type it in the chat. We're just gonna do a poll. What? Pokemon open. Just code. You have 1 minute. Vote now. We're gonna open Pokemon eventually. We would just do it after we code a little bit. I'm here for CJ. Coding is bonus. Well, thank you, Mellow Hype. What's up, Titan Fuss? Carding guard. I like that, Alco. Oh, well, see, here's the thing. We just did a coding quick tip. We could open a pack as a reward for doing the coding quick tip. I don't know. It looks like the majority of people just want to watch me code. That's okay. Here for the code, stay for the feels. Okay. It's very likely that just code is going to win. So let's get right into this. So this kata was linked by Callum. Let's see what it is. So it's a 7Q. We'll keep this tab open because I do want to start with an AQ. All right. So for those of you that have not seen this website before, you can go to codewars.com and sign up. If you check out my YouTube playlist with all of the basically it's just me solving problems live and like talking through my process and stuff like that. But if you look at the YouTube playlist, there is the very first video in the playlist is how to sign up, how to choose katas. Basically, if you're new to all of this, you can watch that video and I show you how to sign up on the website. Now, I'll say this website is probably for beginner programmers that have at least been coding a little bit. You know the basics of conditionals, you know loops, you know the basics of like you can just know the very basics of functions. And you can start coding here. This isn't exactly a place to learn how to code from scratch because you do have to have a little bit of prior knowledge. But that said, is if you know conditionals, if you know loops, if you know functions, the basics, string manipulation, math, you can do these problems. And they're a good way to practice coding and getting better at solving coding. So it starts at 8Q. These are the easiest. And again, not again, but it's all subjective. We've seen some 7Qs and 6Qs that are, to me, seem to be like they should be 3 or 4 Qs. So if you choose a problem, don't get discouraged if it seems too hard. It's everyone has their own personal journey, but I'll show you how I like to sort this website. So if you sort by most completed, you're more likely to find ones that people have actually solved because all of these are user submitted coding problems. So it's very possible that it's not worded very well or they don't have good tests or good examples. So if you go by most completed, you're kind of guaranteed to have one that is probably solvable. You can also choose your programming languages. I've never heard of Agda. I didn't mean to choose that. I typically use JavaScript. I know somebody suggested we should solve each one in a different language. We're going to start with JavaScript. We're just going to start there. Maybe the next one we'll try to solve in different languages. And then for me, I like to choose katas that I have not trained on because these are basically ones that I've never seen before, so we'll see them for the first time. Yeah, that's okay. Otter has it. Use it for practice interview questions because they typically look very similar. Yeah, so in coding interviews, they sometimes use these kinds of problems. Sometimes they're more algorithm heavy, but I mean, if you really need a frame of reference, these are kind of like word problems from math class in like middle school and high school. It's kind of what they're like, but you use programming and code to solve them. Yeah. I'm confused whether to use React dashboard framework or plain JavaScript based one. I mean, it's really what you prefer to code in. And Rico, thank you for the 100 bits. Well, thank you, Abigail. There's actually, we'll take a moment to appreciate all the other people on Twitch writing code and such. First of all, Live Coders, they were one of the first really big teams to have people coding on Twitch. Teams of people. I mean, the people existed before the team existed, but it's a good directory you can go to see who's live. There's also Pogrammers. No one's live right now, but you can check them out later. And then there's also Only Devs. It seems like Only Devs and Programmers share a lot of team members. Oh yeah, BeginBot's live right now.
Okay, is this commands? Yes, these are the 3 commands I want. This is my test. This is a proper test right here. And if this fails,
we're gonna close that. But yeah, check him out. He's really fun. And Namos, thank you for that sub. Yeah, but check out Only Devs. Does anybody know of any other? BeginBot has like really cool overlays that are like controlled by chat. Anybody know of any other coding teams? Yeah, Bald Bearded Builder is on the Live Coders team. Florin's on the Live Coders team. Yeah. Okay, let's solve a code kata. I'm just gonna click on this first one, and we'll probably just jump right into it, because this is a good introductory problem. I think so. So get the mean of an array. It's the academic's year-end, fateful moment of your school report. The averages must be calculated. All the students come to you and entreat you to calculate their average for them. Easy. You just need to write a script. Return the average of the given array rounded down to the nearest integer. The array will never be empty. So, classic, simple coding problem. You have an array of numbers, and it's a mean problem. Now you need to find the average of all the numbers, and it's basic. We do have to do a little bit of math, but to find the average of many numbers, you add them together and then divide by the number of numbers, and you have the average. So we're gonna do that, but with code. Rounded down. That is true. This should be rounded up, right? If this is for grades or reports. What's up, Matsuok? Welcome to the show. Wait, why? Oh, my language is selected as Python. We'll do it in JavaScript. And typically what I like to do is I like to bring the code down locally so I can show it in multiple ways, but the site is pretty cool because you can actually write your code directly here, and then you can see some tests that your code is going to be run against, and then you can test your code. So when you click test, it actually runs your code against these tests, and so you just write your code in here. But like I said, I am going to pull this code down locally so that I can write it in multiple ways and all that good stuff. So here we go. We're gonna make a directory. Okay, technically we didn't talk about it. This is episode 60. Episode 60 of Code Katas. We typically used to do this as like a Wednesday evening stream. But yeah. Close that. I use TypeScript and React at work. On stream, I typically just use JavaScript because it's easy and I can hack things together. I don't have to think about it too much. TypeScript requires a lot of upfront decisions and thought around what you're coding because you have to create a lot of types and interfaces. Whereas with JavaScript, you can just code it. Okay. So we need a function called getAverage with the marks, which are people's grades. And then we have a few basic tests. And instead of doing this, we're actually just going to do some console logs. Cool. Now, I'm going to use this tool called Quokka.js. And hey, Rico, thank you for that gifted sub to Gokai Bluer. Very much appreciated. Now, Prepare to be amazed. Look at this. So this extension is fantastic, but basically what it does is it runs my code inside of the editor. So we can see here that right now this function is returning undefined, but we're expecting that it returns 2 because that's the average. This function, again, it's returning undefined because our function isn't doing anything, but we're expecting that it returns 3. And again, this one is returning undefined as well. If you want to check out quackajs.com. I actually got it on a Black Friday sale. So it does cost money. You can use the free version. The pro version does cost money. But I think I got it for like half off on Black Friday. It's pretty awesome. It's worth the money even if I didn't get it half price. Yeah. My favorite JS framework is Vue. Yeah, if you check out the frequently asked questions, there's some links to some VODs where I describe why Vue is my favorite. But yeah, Vue is my favorite. Okay. Now, yeah, I don't have any specific dashboard frameworks. I mean, if I were building one, I probably would just find a charting library and build out the thing. But I see what you mean because it might need to be like a customizable dashboard. I don't know. No, Black Friday during the holidays. Yeah, it's Black History Month, isn't it? Yeah, but this is like totally unrelated, and people buy things on Black Friday during the holidays. Okay, so we need to find the mean of the numbers in the array. So we have these arrays. These are basically like lists of numbers, and we need to add up all of them and then divide that sum by the number of items in the array. So typically the way I like to start this is with some pseudocode, where I'm not actually writing code, I'm just describing the code that I'm going to write. And then we can actually see how that pseudocode can be turned into different kinds of code. So first of all, we need a place to store the sum, right? So because we're going to be iterating over this array, we need a place where we can accumulate things. We can store the sum. Then we need to iterate over the marks or the grades. I never called them marks. I feel like that's like an English thing. In the US, we call them grades. But yeah, iterate over their grades, and then for each one, add the current mark to the sum. So we have a place to store the sum. We then iterate, and for every item, we add it to the sum, right? Then, after the looping is done, we now have the sum of everything in the array, and we need to return the sum divided by the number of marks, right? Easy enough. So this is non-executable code. This is just in JavaScript, comments start with // but this is basically I can write anything I want. I can even put emojis here. These are comments for myself or for other programmers. Pseudocode, yes, and that's how you would spell it. Not SUDO, PSEUDO, like pseudoscience, but pseudocode. So this is my pseudocode. This describes how I want to solve the thing, and so we're going to solve it. Yeah, and reduce is absolutely one way to do it, but we're going to start without that, because if you're a beginner programmer, you probably have no idea what reduce is. So we're going to start with the fundamentals. We're just going to use for loops and variables. That's it. So first of all, we need a place to store the sum. What I mean by that is we need a variable. We're going to create a variable called sum and set it to 0. And I'll add to my comment. A place to store the sum initialized to 0. What's up, Daggers? How's it going? Right, so because if I need to sum things up, that sum typically starts at nothing because I'm starting with nothing. All right, now we need to iterate over the marks. A lot of different ways to do this. We could use a for each. We could use a reduce, all that stuff. But the classic way in which will work in most programming languages is a loop. So we're going to create a for loop that starts off at 0. Or starts the index off at 0 because we need to look at every element in this array. This is the 0th index, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, etc. So we start off at 0. We want to keep iterating while I is less than the number of marks. So in JavaScript, we can get the length of the array just using this length property. So for this, it's going to return 4 because there's 4 of them. For this, it's going to return 5. Actually, does that have an extra gamma in it? It does. I guess that means we need to ignore blank values. That seems like a typo. I feel like we shouldn't have to ignore blank values because it says the array will never be empty. And this is technically a blank value. I'm going to call that an error. I think it's a typo. We'll see. Our code could break. But okay, we have a loop. I starts at 0. We want to keep on looping while I is less than marks.length. The moment I is greater than that, we're done. And on every iteration, we need to increment I by 1. So this is what this loop is going to do for us. Basically, it has I equals 0. And then it does the thing, and then it increments I by 1, so I equals 1, and then it does the thing, and it keeps on doing that 1, 2, 3, 4, until I is greater than marks.length, right? Okay, so now we need to get the current mark and add it on to the sum. In JavaScript, we can use array access notation, so I can say like the mark is equal to marks at I. So earlier you saw me use this notation on objects. We can use this same notation on arrays. This basically says give me the element at that index. So the 0th index would give us 2. The first would give us 2. The third would give us 2. Or in this case, the 0th would give us 1. The first would give us 2. The second would give us 3. So this accesses that specific mark in the array. And then we just need to add it onto the sum. So I'll say sum plus equals mark, like that. Yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with the plus equal syntax, all that means is sum equals sum plus mark. So take the current value of sum, add mark onto it, and then store it back into the sum variable. Yeah, and the only difference, I mean, there actually are more differences, but my linter prefers that I use plus equals 1 here instead of plus plus, because plus plus is actually another way to write this. You technically could do I plus plus. And this is going to work in the same way, but there are some implications, and it's potentially confusing because this is also a valid operator, but one of them increments. So this one increments before accessing. This one increments after accessing. And my linter, basically my rules of coding basically say, instead of doing that because it's potentially ambiguous, you do this because it's more explicit. We know that this is just shorthand for I plus 1, which means access the current value, add 1 onto it, and put it back into I. So plus plus I does, it increments the value, then accesses it, instead of access, then increment. But that is, it doesn't matter. Oh, we just need to increment I by 1. That's all we need to do here. Okay, so we get the current mark at that index. We add it on to the sum. And now at this point, we should have the total sum. And for instance, like the sum of 2, 2, 2, and 2 is 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. The sum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15. The sum of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, maybe there's one more 1 in there, is 9. So our sum here is working. We're basically adding up all of the numbers. And now we need to divide them by the number of total items. So at this point, we're done. So if we just do return sum divided by marks.length, we should have the average length, like that. And we've done it. So if we remember the problem description, it actually says we need to round down. So we'll need to do that. But for the case where it is the sum is evenly divisible by the number of items, it works. But when we get here, we actually need to round down. And I think math.round, which is built into JavaScript, rounds down by default. Yeah. Rounds down by default. So that should be good. 1, 1, 1. Oh yeah, thank you, Fob. I'll update working on. Yeah, I'm using VS Code. If you do !VS Code, you can get a link to all of my extensions and stuff like that. We just mentioned it a second ago. Yeah, math.floor works, and math.floor is probably more explicit. But both of these will work because math.floor explicitly says if something has a decimal, drop it, floor it. There's also math.ceiling, which says if something has a decimal, round up. But this is an explicit round down. Yeah. Okay. Wait, does math.round up if it's like, does it do the typical rounding? I thought it didn't. Like usually with rounding, if the decimal is 0.5, it rounds up. Yeah, so this, oh, No, it rounds up. Okay, never mind. Yeah, we need math.floor. We need math.floor. So this will not work. It works for this scenario, but in cases where the decimal was 0.5 or higher, it would have broken. Katas are specific coding problems. I'm about to update the working on command, so we can talk about it. Okay. Katas. Let's copy this. So Code Wars is a website that has many different coding problems, user-submitted coding problems. I mentioned earlier that if you remember back in like middle school or high school, like the word problems you would get in math class, which were basically like a big long description of all the things you need to do and solve. Code katas are kind of like that, but you use programming to solve them instead of like pen and paper. And it's just a good way to practice coding, to get better at coding, to learn new things about a language, different stuff like that. Okay. Cool. The working on command should be updated now. Yeah, when would you use floor round, or so floor rounds down, ceiling rounds up, and then round does the classic determine if we should round up or down depending on what the decimal is. In this specific example, the problem description said we needed to round down. So return the average of the given array rounded down to the nearest integer. So that's why we're using math.floors, because they explicitly told us to. Okay. This is it. We've solved the problem. So at this point, I can plug my code into Code Wars and see if it passes the tests. Now, because of this typo, I don't think it's going to. I think, yeah, I think it's going to break on number 2. No, it worked. Oh, I see. I had in my mind array destructuring. This is just a trailing comma, which is not technically a typo because trailing commas are now allowed. Not allowed. Trailing commas are allowed. No, trailing commas are allowed now in JavaScript. Arrays and objects. I guess they've been allowed for a while. I don't know. But that is technically a trailing comma. What I thought is that would make it undefined as the last value, but it's not. It's just a trailing comma. Yeah. I'm a citizen of the world. I'm from all over. I live in Denver, Colorado, USA, but I'm from all over. Trailing commas are a lie. Okay, so this is the basic implementation. Now you've probably seen people posting code in the chat. Now we're going to solve it in other ways. So first of all, I'm going to show you how you can solve this with using a for each, using for each on the array, which is a higher order method. Let's take a quick stretch. Yeah, so if you didn't know it, you know what also is weird? At least in the latest JavaScript, you can put trailing commas in your maybe not in your function definitions, but at least in your function invocations, you can have trailing commas too. Like this is actually valid JavaScript now. I guess it would have been before because this is kind of like, I don't know, but this is valid. Okay, we're gonna copy and paste this, remove the comments, and then I'm gonna show you how we can take this code and solve it using a for each. Oh, thank you, Page or Page. All right, see you later, NG Berman. I think you suggested this this one. We might do this one next, so watch the VOD if you want to. Yeah, and I agree, Shazo, especially like if you're working on a team, if you're working with other people, simple solutions are nice because it doesn't require your teammates to put too much work into trying to understand the code that you wrote. But what we're going to do here is we're going to use the for each higher order method instead of a for loop. At the end of the day, it's going to do the exact same thing, but this will actually get you a little bit closer to understanding reduce if that's something you care about. So instead of this for loop, we're actually going to say marks.forEach. So because marks is an array, we can see down here it has these brackets. This is an array. It has this method built in for each. And what that allows you to do is pass in a function that gets access to each individual mark. And then we can just do this. And now we don't have to do this. So basically, we say, here's this function, and I want you to call this function for every mark in the marks array. And so it's going to call it here, and it's going to get the value 2, and it's going to modify sum. Here it's going to get the value 2, etc. So this function we've defined right here is going to get called for every element in the array. And this should work in the same way. I mean, I guess I'm going to start Quokka back up. So 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 1, it still works. Great. And this, on the surface, looks simpler. You do have to understand what for each is and what it does, and yeah, and I mean technically you could do plus equals instead of mark. We had this as an example up here. They both work. This is just a little bit more explicit to. So I realize for beginners, when you're looking at this. Initially, if you haven't seen this kind of thing before, you look at it almost like an algebra problem, like we're trying to solve for sum, and that is not what this is doing. Basically, you look at the two different sides of the equals sign separately. So if we look at the right-hand side, we see it's sum plus mark. So that means take the current value of sum, add mark to it. Now we have a resulting value. And then what this equals sign is now is the assignment operator. So it says take this value, which was evaluated from that expression, and store it back into this variable. And so we can see this variable started as 0, but here we're going to take this value and put it back into the variable. This is just a shorthand for that. So it says sum plus equals mark, increment sum by mark, store it back in sum. Okay, that's for each. Great. We can dive even deeper and convert this into a reduce. So this is going to get in the weeds. I'll say right now, if it's hard to really even understand what's happening here, don't even worry about the reduce, but we'll talk about reduce. So reduce allows you to take an array of many things or an array of things and convert it into a single value. In our case, we want to basically take this array of numbers and convert it into a sum. So we're reducing the array of values to a single value, which is the sum. And so the reducer function actually takes in multiple parameters. I mean, technically so does for each, but in this case we don't worry about it. But here, we need to take in the accumulator, so the thing that we're accumulating, which is sum. And typically you can define an initial value for that sum. So in this case, the initial value is 0. So you can see that I defined sum equal to 0. Basically, I don't have to do that anymore because now I have this variable, and this is where I'm setting the initial value. So we're kind of like flipping things around. And then now I need to return the new sum on every iteration. So I can actually just return sum plus mark. And this gives us the total sum, and then we still get the same answer. So basically what's happening here is this function is going to get called for every element in the array. On the first iteration, the argument that gets passed in for sum is 0 because I have the initial value here. So this function gets called, let's do it on this array, is for, I mean, that would be an infinite loop technically until you broke, right? I'm not sure what you would do with that. Yeah, don't, if you need to return, so technically you can use reduce to create, you can use reduce to do a map. You could also use reduce to do a filter, but there are other higher order methods that are better suited for certain situations. Yeah, reduce right does the reduction from the other side. So let's try to explain what's happening here. So the sum first has the value 0 because we set it. That's the initial value. Mark is going to have the first value in the array. So this function is invoked with 0 for the sum and 1 for mark. We then return 0 plus 1, which is, what's 0 plus 1, everyone? Now's your cue to spam 1 in the chat. What's 0 plus 1? Oh, hi, Mark. 2, no, it's 1. Come on. You're better than this. 0, hey, 0 plus 1 is 1. So because we say return, that sum we just calculated, 0 plus 1, will be the next sum when the function is invoked. So the next time this function is invoked, we're actually going to have the sum 1, and mark is going to be the value 2. So what's 1 plus 2? It's 3. And so the next time this function gets invoked, the sum is 3, and the mark is 3. What's 3 plus 3? It's 6. So the next time this function gets invoked, the sum is 6, and then the mark is 4. What's 6 plus 4? It's 10. Next time this gets invoked, the sum is 10, and the mark is 5. What's 10 plus 5? It's 15. Well, we're done. So the sum of this array is 15. We then divide 15 by 5, and we get 3. Great. So that's fun. The other thing we could do is we could try to shorten this like crazy. So this reduce function, we technically could just define in line, right? Because we're trying to calculate the sum. So instead of putting in a variable, we could put it there. And then because we're using arrow functions, we technically don't need a function body, and we can just do this. And then also, because we're dealing with an array of numbers, we don't need an initial value. We can just do this. This works. Now, is this as clear as like this solution? No, but this will do it. Basically, we sum the array, divide it by the length, and floor it. All right, are there any other ways I could solve this with JavaScript, or any other things we could talk about? Does anybody have anyone have questions about some of these different ways we've done things? I will actually point you to some older videos that I've done. Could we do it recursively? I mean, we technically could do it recursively, like a recursive sum. We could do it with a while loop. Yeah. Cast it to an int. So in JavaScript, well, actually, I was gonna say there are no integers, but there technically are. Now we actually have big int. Yeah, but in JavaScript, for the most part, we only have floating point numbers. So even though these look like integers, they're actually floating point. But I believe if we did parse int, would that do it? Yeah, parseInt technically does it, but I don't know. I think parseInt just drops the decimal, so this is kind of the same thing as math.floor. But yeah, I would say the canonical JavaScript way of doing it would be to explicitly call math.floor. We don't really do casting, because for the most part, we only have floating point numbers. Now, I will say there is big int, which is pretty new. And these are integers, these really big integers, but it's not very common. You don't see it used that much. Yeah, this extension is called Quokka. Check it out. Here. Probably not quite, because number will accept decimals, right? So you'll notice if I pass this into the number constructor, it's already a number and it has a decimal, so it's not going to drop the decimal. So you can see that the reason we were using math.floor is because we need to drop this decimal, so this just keeps the decimal around. Parse int explicitly says just get rid of that decimal. And I guess technically we could do a big int. Let's try it. The number 1.125 cannot be converted to a big int because it is not an integer. So I guess technically to use big int, we would have to do parse int and then pass that into big int. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, what I wanted to show you. So if what I just did there interests you, I did some episodes in the past of Newbie Tuesday on higher order functions. And basically we start from scratch. And so there's actually an exercises repo that I created that takes you from the basics of like what is a higher order function, what are first class functions, what is the accumulator pattern, and then I walk you through all the different things like map, filter, reduce, and all that good stuff. And this repo has a bunch of exercises. So for every type of method, if you go into it, there is exercise.js, and it has a bunch of different ways you can practice. And in the corresponding YouTube video, I'm programming with a complete and total noob. His name is Tony. And we're kind of walking through that. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, definitely check out this repo for exercises. And then I believe I have a playlist for this. I should. If I don't have a playlist, this is the first video. But there are like 4 or 5 videos in the series. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Happy to help. Wait, why did I just go to YouTube? Okay. Coding, garden, higher order methods. Yeah, there's part 1, 2, 3. I feel like I have a playlist. If I don't, I should create one. Oh, there it's literally right here. It's called higher order methods. Okay, so there's only 3 episodes, but we talk about for each, map, reduce, filter, all that good stuff. Okay. Sum array sum. Hey, that's I like. I'll just go ahead and paste this in because this is the recursive sum. I like it. Kappa. Kappa is not a valid JavaScript thing, but let's look at it because this is fun to see. All right, so we have this function called SumArray. It takes in an array and the sum, which I guess starts off as 0. So if the array has no length, just return 0. Then we have the recursive call. So we take the sum plus the first value in the array plus basically the next value in the array. This is not a very useful recursive function. All it does is just grab the first one off of the array and then remove the first one off of the array. This uses a lot more memory and uses a whole lot more function invocations. Dinafar, thank you for the sub. Now, I realize you didn't say this was perfect, but this isn't bad. For this specific app, for this specific solution, I don't think I would use recursion here. Yeah, and hello, Rambling Geek. Shout out to Rambling Geek, member of our Live Coders team. When are we getting a newbie backend app? Oh, there's actually quite a few. Yeah, I mean, we haven't done it in a long time, but if you filter by Newbie Tuesday, one of the first few videos we did was backend. So a lot of people like this one, build a full stack app. We basically build 4chan, but in like 2 hours, and it's very noob friendly. We build a message board where you can post images, and in these were like the first time we ever did something like this. Actually, we paired to build a scraper of Craigslist, and so that was just like a basic backend app that does the scraping. Yeah. Okay. Let's open some Pokemon cards. So that was fun. But before we open Pokemon, I need to submit my solution. I'm gonna submit this one because I don't know. I like solutions like this. Would I write something like this at work? Probably, but I'd put a comment on it that says what it does. But on Code Wars, you can plug in your code, click attempt. So what's interesting is when you click attempt, it's going to run against more tests than the ones that you can see. So this just makes sure that your code really works, and then you're good to go. Yeah, coding.garden/video is basically pulls directly from the YouTube API. I actually, if you search for a YouTube API, yeah, in this video, I literally built this website that you're looking at. Because I built basically your front end code couldn't call the YouTube API directly because it requires API keys and doesn't have cores. And so in that video, I actually build the back end and the basic front end for this. Yeah, it's a loop. All right. Let's open a couple packs of Pokemon cards, or I guess a few. Let's just get it out the way, and then we'll do one more kata. Maybe we'll do this one, which is a 7Q. Actually, this was suggested by Callum earlier, and I like it because it's kind of like a simulation. So you have a fighter which has a name and health and damage, and then you have to write some functions that change the health or the damage of the fighter. I like it. Hello, InBlanky. Is there a reason why you would want to use the greatly shortened solution over the more explicit solution? No. So, honestly, probably because see, like, so this is the only reason is to be a show off. I'll say that. The only reason you would write code like this is if you want to show off. And I kind of do. I like to show off. but honestly, this is probably more explicit because we were showing that we are returning the values here. Now, obviously, if you're a JavaScript programmer and you're used to this kind of syntax, you can infer that, oh yes, this does the addition and the return all in one go. But technically, this code is a little bit more explicit, and it's probably a little bit easier for someone to understand whenever they just glance at the code. That said, I mean, this one is probably even easier to understand when you glance at the code. Like, there's no reduce has implications. Like, you need to know how reduce works in order to understand the code when you're looking at it. With this solution, you just have to know how for each works. And if you're used to using higher order methods in JavaScript like this, like passing functions around, it's good. So I would say this is a solution I would use if I had a lot of people in my project that didn't necessarily know all of the latest and greatest JavaScript stuff or even know how reduce work. This is probably the preferred solution. Now, if you get down to performance, some people, like, people have done performance benchmarks that show that actually, I don't even know which one. Some people have shown that, like, for each is technically faster than a for loop. In this scenario, it doesn't even matter because our arrays aren't that big. But this is a very explicit solution. I would probably choose that one if I were working with others. I would choose this one if I just wanted to show off how good I am at JavaScript. So yeah. Yeah. Hey, no worries, Jamal. Thanks for dropping by. Right now the for sure stream is Friday mornings at around this same time. And this is just a random stream. But if you go to twitch.tv/codinggarden/schedule, I announce streams there. My hair is too small for a bun. For each doesn't return any values. If you need to return a value, you would probably use a map. For each is kind of just like a one and done. It basically says, execute this function for this element in the array. It does nothing with the return value. What does matter? Some could exceed max safe integer with large values and produce the wrong answer. That's true. That's true, Doc. But do we have really large values? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Karthiko. Yeah, you're welcome, Monocoats. And I've done a video before talking about high cognitive load. Like, basically, this code requires that you know a lot before you even see it. Whereas, I mean, this code, you could kind of figure out, if you know the basics of programming, you could kind of figure out what it's doing just by looking at it. And especially this code. Actually, let me write this without the comments. Like, if you know the basics of, like, loops and function invocations, like this one, I would posit to say that any programmer could look at this code and know what it does, regardless of if they know JavaScript. Like, you could have any programmer look at this code, and for the most part, they could figure out what it's doing. Yeah. Facts. The downside of for each is that you can't exit. Yeah. So for each is there's no way to break out of it. It's gonna execute for every element. With a for loop, technically, you could have a conditional and break out. There are some higher order methods that let you do something similar. Hola, Belen. Welcome to the show. All right. That was fun. Well, that's a good point, Doc. If you do something like this in production and you have really big numbers, it could result in a bug because, I mean, JavaScript can't handle really big numbers in general unless you explicitly use big int. But that's for integers. I don't think we have doubles in JavaScript, do we? We only have the floating point. You can't use a break into for each. No, I mean, you could return early, but it's still going to execute for every single element in the array. Yeah. Let's spare some time and create a talk about psychology of code. Oh, I'm down. Yeah, and shout out to Katsamillion. She just started streaming. I think she had like her second stream or third stream. Might have been her third stream yesterday. But it's super chill. Yesterday she was working on her website. Day before that, she was playing like Nintendo Switch. I'm a mod in her channel. I hang out there. So if you want to hang out, you can hang out there too. But I'm down, yeah, because I've talked with Katz before about the psychology of code. Basically, like, yeah, why do we write code the way we write code, and like what's the best way to write code to like really be able to communicate to other developers and stuff like that? I don't know. Will I add a try catch? Not for the code we wrote. All right. Let's open Pokemon cards because these were redeemed quite a while ago. And I have a surprise for you all because I was gonna say I don't have English Pokemon cards, but I do have a couple, and I will show them to you. If I'm working on a project with other people, and if it's like a very large code base, I typically prefer JavaScript. Oh no, sorry, TypeScript. If it's a large project, other people are working on it, TypeScript. If it's just me, JavaScript, because it's easy. I can just hack things together. I don't think I have to think about it too much. Stuff just works. What was I doing? Oh, I'm going to change my category just while we're opening cards. My main language is JavaScript. I've been writing that for like the past 5 years or so. But before that, I did C# for about 4 years or so. Oh man. Reduces 10 times slower. I don't know if it matters for our solution, but I can see it. Okay. I can never get used to using a keyboard on Windows. I'm typing all the wrong keyboard shortcuts. Everything's going wrong. It was not difficult for me to switch from C# to JavaScript because I'll explain why. That's usually what it means when you say the word because. I was writing an application, like a desktop application in C# that allowed other programmers to create plugins for the app that I was building. So they could literally write some code, compile it to a DLL, drop the DLL in a folder, and that would make new plugins available in the app that I was building. Now, to write an app that accepts that kind of thing, you have to write very dynamic code, right? Because you potentially don't know ahead of time. I mean, I guess if you have clearly defined classes and interfaces, you would know ahead of time, but you don't know ahead of time like what properties are available or what functions are available. So in C#, there actually is the reflection namespace that lets you reflect over an instance of an object and figure out what properties are inside of it. Typically, like in regular C# coding, you can't do that. You have to know ahead of time. You have to write the code ahead of time that knows what the properties are. But with the reflection API, you can do really dynamic stuff. So I was already used to coding in that dynamic way in C#. And in JavaScript, all of that is just built in. It's just a part of the language. And so that's why it was an easy transition for me, because I was kind of tired of the strictness of C#. And JavaScript was freeing. It's just like, do what you want. All right, what are we doing? We're updating my title. Okay. But I completely understand why a lot of C# programmers have a really hard time moving into JavaScript because they are so used to the strict nature of it, which is why they prefer something like TypeScript, because you have to be just as explicit. All right, I got it. This took me a while. It took me a while, but we got it. You got it, everyone. Is it possible to make a DLL in JavaScript? Not that I know of. You technically can write like native. You can write Node.js code that interops with C++. But yeah, I've never done it. Okay. Check it out. So, I actually have one of every Japanese Sword and Shield expansion. So we've got Sword, we've got Shield, we've got VMAX Rising, Rebellion Crash, we've got Explosive Flame Walker, I think that one's Double Blaze, Legendary Heartbeat, and Astonishing Volt Tackle. Yeah, so we're going to open one of each. It's going to be great. These actually came with a VMAX special set that I bought. But it's going to be fun. So these are all Japanese cards. I'm going to pull up Volt Tickle. I'm going to open up the Pokelector card list because I'm actually collecting... let's see. I'm collecting those two in English and these two in English. So I've seen most of these cards in English, but these ones are very unfamiliar to me. So I need to pull up the card list just so we can make sure we know what cards we're getting. How many were redeemed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. But I'm just gonna open all of them so we can just get back to writing code. Cool. All right, we're gonna open up Sword first. Here we go. So I like to open the cards from the bottom. This is potentially controversial because like there's actually a tab you can use to that's the cool thing about Japanese packs. They have a little tear tab right here. You can't see that. A little tear tab. You can pull that, but that potentially ruins the corners of the cards because it could yeah, I could pull on them, but I don't know. The card trick for these is just one to the front. Here we go. All right. I don't know his name. He evolves from Grookey. I only know Grookey. Who is this? This is Thwacky. Look at Thwacky. All right. I think that's Pharaoh Seed, number 42. Yeah, Pharaoh Seed. We got... Is that Salazzle? Number 8? Yeah, it is. No. Salandit. He evolves into Salazzle. Okay. Next up, we got Sudowoodo. And lastly, oh, wow, full art. Stojourner, is that his name? Number 64. This is actually a secret rare. That's awesome. Yeah, Stojourner V. Wow. Look at him. Sorry. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, and it's number 64 out of 60, which is why you know it is a secret. Luck 100, yeah. I've had some really good luck with these VMAX special kit sets. That's awesome. I'm not actually collecting this entire set. I just have a binder full of Japanese cards that are not in any set that I'm specifically collecting. All right, next up is the Sword expansion. Put that there. All right, the Pokemon Garden. And I need to pull up the Sword set list. Or sorry, Shield. This is Shield. I misspoke. Shield. All right, here we go. It depends. I mean, a lot of the chase cards and like Vivid Voltage are very similarly valued in Japanese sets, but it totally depends because there's a completely different market for people buying Japanese sets. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we did the card trick. One to the front. We've got just a rare egg. What is this called? I don't know if I've seen this one in English. Lucky egg. Lucky egg. There's a score bunny. Let me focus. Focus. How would I make Pokemon Go in JavaScript? I wouldn't, because it uses augmented reality. I mean, I guess you don't have to use augmented reality, but that's something that probably should be native, not JavaScript. This guy, what's his name? Number 40. He is Pawniard. Oh, he's like a chess pawn? Look at that. Oh, Rhyhorn. Cool. I actually haven't seen him before. He's from like the original 151 Pokemon. Number 28. Yeah, Rhyhorn. And look at that. Hollow Caparajah. We're getting lucky. This is very lucky to get 2 hits in a row. And that is Caparajah, right? Number 43. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Great work, everyone. Are we rich yet? No. we're what's the word? We're rich in Pokemon, I guess? I don't know. All right. Next up, Explosive Flamewalker. I think that's the English name for this. Exploding Flamewalker. Oh, no. I'll do that one. It is Explosive Flamewalker, but I need to do the Rebel Clash ones. So in English, those 2 packs that I just opened make up the Sword and Shield set. And not these 2. This one and this one. And these make up Rebel Clash in the English set. So this is VMAX Rising and Rebellion Crash, but these 2 sets combined make up the Rebel Clash in English. So we'll start with VMAX Rising. I think we ran the Windows 95 like desktop app in Electron once. Yeah, we saw that a while back. Tags Team All-Stars? It's literally called Tag Team GX All-Star. Oh, what's the English one? Actually, it might be Team Up. And Rafalu, thank you for the sub. But actually, I'll show you really quick how I find that info. So, here we are. So I use Pokelector, and the one that you were just mentioning is Tags Team All-Stars GX. So this is the Japanese name, and I believe this is Sun and Moon Team Up. But the way I would find it is on Bulbapedia. So actually, if I just search for Tag Team GX All-Stars and then pull up the Bulbapedia article, it typically will tell you what the English set name is. Yeah, Tag All-Stars. Is it SM12A? Or is that an older one? Yeah, this is SM12A. Oh, there's a camera. Camera on camera. We'll go back to the other scene pretty quick. I thought there was a corresponding English set. Oh no, Team Up is Tag Bolt. I honestly don't even know if there's a corresponding English set. It might have been one of like the holiday sets. I have no idea. I know most things about Sword and Shield. I don't know much about the Sun and Moon era. Yeah, but yeah, those are the 2 sites that I use. I mean, typically you can look at like the card list to try and see where these cards are at. But yeah, I honestly have no idea. Yeah, I am sitting. The Japanese subset during the Sun and Moon era. The set consists mostly of reprints of cards from the latter half of Sun and Moon, focusing on popular tag team Pokemon. So, yeah. All right, quick stretch, and then we'll finish opening these cards. Here we go. All right, so yeah, this is VMAX Rising. Sword and Shield. Oh, we're coding. We're just taking a break to open Pokemon cards. We've got... I always forget his name. This isn't Honedge, is it? No, that's wrong. Completely wrong. Number 54. Does anybody know it? Name that Pokemon. Bronzong. Yeah, totally wrong. Okay, next up, we've got... Is it Arascuda? It might be Arascuda. 1,000 luck. Okay, number 25 is Aracuda. Not Arascuda, Aracuda. Barrascuda is what it evolves into. All right, we've got an Applin, little apple. And we've got a, oh wow, there's a rare behind, that's crazy. But we've got a Galarian Farfetch'd and a Dragapult, a holo rare Dragapult. Wow. Got hits on hits on hits. Cypress is probably the most popular testing framework, yeah. All right, next up, Rebellion Clash. We're having all the luck today. Luck plus equals 1 for sure. Yeah, in these Japanese sets, you're not guaranteed a rare or holo or a V in any pack. At least in the ones that I'm opening. There are some where you are, but these you're not. All right, here we go. Is that Greedent? Skywovit? I don't know. Number 85. It's too many sets. Too many Pokemon to remember all of their names. Yeah, so like the VMAX, I've contemplated getting Shiny Star V, which is going to be very similar to the Shining Fates that's being released. But yeah, every single pack you at least get a V card. Number 85. Greedent. His name is Greedent. All right, next up. The one that evolves into Greedent, Skywovit. That's the other cool thing I like about Japanese packs. Typically, not all the time, but typically, you get the both of the evolved forms. It's like a player's pack, because if you wanted to put these in a deck, you would need the unevolved form. So that's dope. Next up, we got Clefairy. Then we've got Durant. And, oh my goodness, we've got a V card. Who is it? Nice, Phalanx V. This is literally the most stacked opening ever. Literally. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Let's keep going. Next up, we're going to do Explosive Flamewalker. Here it is. Let me pull it up. So this combined with, what's this one? Infinity Zone. These two make up Darkness Ablaze in English. I mean, if we get no more hits, I'll be happy. Like we've literally gotten a holo or better in the past 4 packs. Okay. Evolves from Score Bunny. What's his name? Number 44. Hello, Pick-a-Pin. Welcome to the show. 44. Oh, Diggersby. That makes sense. We got Diggersby. I have no idea. Number 24. Wishy-Washy. Wishy-Washy is his name. All right, next up. I have never seen this Pokemon in my life. Number 12. It's in Japanese, not Chinese. These are Japanese cards. Number 12. Typically, the Pokemon cards, like the English Pokemon cards, are printed in Japanese first, and then they make it over to English. Larvesta is this one. We've got... Wait, is that... Who is that? I don't know who that is. 56. Should I know who that is? Sentret. It's a Sentret. Catamillion's got it. And lastly, it had to end somewhere. We've got a special flame energy. What do they call it? Number 70. Heat fire energy. Yeah, so we didn't get a rare in that one, but that's fine because we're doing really well. Sentret. Okay. Now we'll do Infinity Zone. Is it worth keeping the Pokemon packs from McDonald's, or will it have no value? Here's the thing. Pokemon is so overhyped right now, and you have all of these people just trying to make money, right? So you've probably seen pictures on social media of people literally buying cases of these Pokemon cards from McDonald's. I think they made so many of them that it's going to be very hard for them to keep their value. Now, like if you look at any past McDonald's set that's been released, the current values of the cards are not that much. That said, this is the 25th anniversary set. And you have all of the starters from the past 25 years. So that alone makes it like really collectible and wanted. So it depends. They'll probably keep a little bit of value. And actually, after we have a few more to open, and then I do actually have two Pokemon packs from McDonald's that I'm going to open. But if you look on social media, it's actually It's actually possible to shine a light through these packs to see what holographic card it is. So I think in the future, unless these packs are sealed inside of the cardboard that they come in, it's going to be really hard to say that you didn't know what the holographic card was inside of these. I don't know. So the answer is sort of. I think there's going to be some value, but probably not the same amount that they're selling for right now because there's so much hype around it. Like the Holo Pikachu is selling for like $65 at a minimum. There was an auction that closed last night where it sold for like 120, I think, which is insane. I think someone just got in a bidding war, but it's insane that a card you can literally get in a kid's meal is selling for over $100. It's all just the hype, though. I don't know. All right, Infinity Zone. Here we go. Yeah, you're welcome. First up, we've got evolves from Electric. What's his name? Number 31. Manectric. And his name is Manectric. Then we've got a really cool looking Pokemon, number 25, who is Toxapex. Then we've got number 6. Is that Hoot Hoot? Is that a thing? I might be completely wrong. Rowlet. Hoot Hoot. I don't think that's even a Pokemon. This is Rowlet. Then we've got number 82, which is Starly. And for the last one, another energy card. Let's call Pokemon JavaScript. And this is Powerful Colorless Energy is the English translation. Cool. So we didn't get a rare in that one. That's okay, because we're saving the best for last. So this is Legendary Heartbeat, which potentially includes amazing rare Pokemon. If we get one, you'll see why they're so amazing. And then this is Astonishing Volt Tackle, or Amazing Volt Tackle. But this one potentially has Rainbow Rare Pikachu in it. It probably doesn't. This probably doesn't have an amazing rare either. But these are some of the most sought after sets. These two combined make up Vivid Voltage in English. Okay, and the cool thing that I like about Legendary Heartbeat is these packs include 7 cards instead of 5. So every other pack we opened only had 5. These ones have 7. And if your pack comes with a V card, like if a V card is included, typically if there's a VMAX of that same card in the set, you'll get it in the same pack. So if we're lucky, we may see that. The card trick on this one is 2, because there's actually 5 cards. All right, here we go. We got Girafarig. I forget his name. 49. Matang? That's probably Matang. That makes sense. Yeah. No. This is Metagross. It evolves from Matang. We got Pineco. Pikapek. Riolu. Hey, a hollow. What is that? Is that a Regirock? Number 37? Yeah, Regirock. And is this a Switch? Number 65? Yeah, Switch. Pokemon Switch. Cool. So we got a rare. We didn't get an amazing rare. We didn't get a V card, but it's still a pretty good pull. And then last but not least, we've got Astonishing Volt Tackle. We could get the Rainbow Rare Pikachu. Pikachu VMAX, which is selling for upwards of $400 right now. Electrifying Tackle. Yeah, he's a thick boy. They call it the no, they don't call him thick. Do they call him Thickachu? They call him Chonkachu. This is the Chonkachu. For sure. All right, here we go. Come on, Pikachu. All right, see you later, Rogue Soul. Thanks for hanging out. Come on, Pikachu. The card trick on this one is just 1. All right, here we go. We've got... Wait, I hold it in the wrong hand. This hand. Charmeleon. Trubbish. Evolves from Drillbur. What's his name? Number 77. Excadrill. That makes sense. Dynamo. And oh, it's a Hollow Zapdos. Still a cool pull. It is not the Pikachu. Look at him. That's pretty dope. Cool. Pikachu. All right, and lastly, bonus, we're going to open up some McDonald's packs. So you can get these right now if you go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. Some will let you buy them separately. Most of them don't because way too many people were buying them. Yeah, we're going to code after we open these 2 packs. But for anybody watching, I'm going to show you something, which is basically just a caution to not buy individual packs on eBay, because it is possible to see what the holographic card is in this pack. Let me see if I can do it right. Like, these are just wax packs. It's like cheap. Let's see if we can do it on this one. Yeah. Are you ready? You can sort of kind of see it. I mean, I can see, it's hard to show on camera, but I can see that there is a holographic Litten in this pack. It's hard to see. So, yeah, there it is. Look at that. All of that to say, you probably shouldn't buy these packs individually, because people will probably search through them and find the Pikachus and the Bulbasaurs and the Squirtles and the Charmanders, because those are selling for the most money. So if you can, just get them from McDonald's. Don't buy them from other people. But yeah. I mean, it was hard to show on camera, but okay. I mean, I'll prove to you. I bought, I ate McDonald's for every meal yesterday. I'll say that. So this one is going to have a Froakie in it. I guess you can't see it, but I'm telling you right now, this has a holographic Froakie in it. Here we go. Look at that. I have defied the laws of opening Pokemon cards. But this set is really cool, first of all, because every single card has the 25th anniversary stamp on it. And it includes the starter Pokemon for every single generation from the past 25 years. So if you were into Pokemon back in 1999, these were the starter Pokemon, right? Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. Since then, there have been different expansions, different regions. Each one has their own starters, but this is 25 cards, the 3 starters from every generation, plus Pikachu. So we've got Froakie, Piplup, Cyndaquil, and Litten. So that's awesome. And then we saw in this one, there should be a hollow Litten. It's hard to show on camera, but I can literally see it. It says hollow Litten. Huh? So we've got a holographic Litten, another Piplup, a Chikorita, and a Turtwig. Cool. No, I mean, I saw a post on Reddit last night that was just like, hey, don't rebuy these because people are going to be potentially searching them before. I mean, it's kind of like pack weighing. Back in the day, people used to weigh packs to know what the holographic card was. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and for every card in the set, there's a holo version and a non-holo version. So it's awesome. It's great. Great work, everyone. Look at all these starter Pokemon we got. And I'm pretty happy about this pull we got earlier. Look at that. Cool. All right. Just use X-rays instead of visible light. I don't know if it would be visible, though, because it's a stack of cardboard. Would you be able to see, like, the ink in between? I don't know. But someone asked earlier, but that's why I don't think the packs themselves are that collectible, because they are technically searchable. And then it kind of seems like the original Kanto starters are kind of the ones that are going to hold the value. The rest of them aren't. But who's to say? Who's to say? If you just found me in the Pokemon category, I actually write code. So we're going to jump back over to the science and technology. Did anybody just find me in the Pokemon category? probably true, Doc. I don't know if anyone would pay that much money to figure out what's inside of Pokemon cards. I don't think it's worth it. Yeah. Cool. Battle Styles ETB is up on pre-order on Amazon. Thank you, Jarrell. I don't know if I'm going to collect Battle Styles. The main reason is I want to save my money. I'm going to save my money for the well, welcome, Klexer. We're about to start writing some code. But if that interests you, you can stick around. I open cards every now and then. I mean, pretty much every stream we open like one or two packs of cards. I like this idea in Blanky because that way when I am opening cards, you can see which ones I'm missing virtually. I'm open to that. But yeah, Battle Styles has really cool art. It has mainly new Pokemon that I have no idea who they are. Like, the art is amazing, but it's really hard for me to identify with the set because I don't really know who the Pokemon are. And I want to save my money for the 25th anniversary set, which is going to be coming out, like, I think in October. And in, I think this summer, they're going to be releasing a set that has all of the evolutions. So it has all of the evolutions as V cards. So Jolteon, Vaporeon, Flareon, Umbreon, Glaceon, all the other Eons as V cards in the set. So it's an explicit EV set. And so I'm potentially going to collect that one in and the 25th anniversary. And I don't think I'm going to get Shining Fates, mainly because it's just like, it's way overhyped. It's going to be really hard to find. I mean, it's overhyped for a good reason. There are really cool cards in it, and the shiny Pokemon are amazing. But it's going to be hard to find, and I do want to save my money for some other. I can't just buy every single set. Yeah. Yeah, if you're interested in Pokemon news, check out Poke Beach. It's a great new source of news, and then also Poke Guardian. Because Poke Guardian, that's where I saw about Eevee, but Poke Beach usually posts it as well. Oh yeah, and then there's going to be a Dengar VMAX high-class deck that's released. Yeah, and so the Eevee Heroes is going to be released in Japan in May, and then we'll probably see the English version like a few months after that. No, it's this one, yeah. Eevee Heroes. Look at that. It will include 69 cards, and it has a V card of every evolution. Check out Poke Garden. All right, let's write some code. Yeah, it's kind. I mean, personally, I guess in my adult years, I was never too much into collecting things, but I was when I was a kid, and now I got back into it. We're going to do this code kata, and then I got to go. So this is called 2 fighters, 1 winner. So we need to create a function that returns the name of the winner in a fight between 2 fighters. Each fighter takes turns attacking the other, and whoever kills the other first is victorious. Death is defined as having health less than or equal to 0. Each fighter will... actually, we could call these Pokemon instead of fighters. And they're not going to be killed. They're going to faint. Each fighter will be a fighter object or instance. See the fighter class below. Both health and damage per attack will be integers less than 0. You can mutate the fighter objects. And Aphex Bug, thank you for that sub. Majestic Guy says they collected basketball cards and still have a bunch of Jordans. If it's Jordan, it's probably worth money, right? Okay, let's... Wait. Have I done this one before? I feel like I've done this one before. Let's see. I believe... We did it in episode 20. We did it 24 episodes ago. Let's look at my code on GitHub. Actually, no. We're just going to solve. We're going to do it again. Doesn't matter. We'll do it again because it'll be fun, and we'll call it Pokemon instead of fighters because that's just what kind of mood we're in. Yeah, exactly. We're going to do it again with Pokemon. So I'm actually just going to bring this code down locally. We'll create a file called 2fighters1winner.js. We're going to write this with JavaScript. And we have our function. They always faint. Yeah, so our function takes in our Pokemon 1, and it also takes in Pokemon 2. So these are two Pokemon that are battling each other. And then we have who the first attacker is. So, for example, and actually, let's just change all of these to console logs. So, we have, let me just update all of these to be Pokemon. And let's update Lou to be Mew. I'm programming in JavaScript. Basically, I'm going to run my code with Node.js. Okay, so we've got Mew. Who should Harry be? I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to use Pokemon that I have sitting next to me. So we're going to have Zapdos. We have Harold. This can be Clefairy. Clefairy. And then we have Jerry. We're just going to leave it. Jerry is just a guy. He's going to be in the ring battling with Pokemon. Okay, so we basically have this Pokemon Mew. It is defined like so. So it takes in the name, health, and damage. So this Mew has 10 health and attacks with 2 damage when it attacks. This Zapdos has 5 health and attacks with 4 damage each time it attacks. So if we were to put, this is JavaScript, yeah. So if we were to put these two Pokemon in a battle together, they would basically take turns attacking. Mew would attack first, and you need to return who would be the winner. Basically, whoever faints first, the other one wins. The shortcut is, for me, it's Command D. So you can basically select anything, and if you press Command D, it'll move your cursor to the next thing that matches that. So Command D a bunch, we'll go there. So I just did that with the names. Cool, I believe that's how it's supposed to work. So yeah, we'll write a little class. So basically what we need, so the fact that we're saying new Pokemon right here means we need a constructor function or a class to create an instance of a Pokemon. So I'm going to create a class Pokemon that has a constructor function that takes in the name. It takes in, was it the health? Yeah. And the damage per attack. Jerry is an accountant type Pokemon. Damage per attack. So, and then when I create a Pokemon, it'll set its name to be that name. I'll set its health to be the health that you passed in. And I'll set this dot damage per attack to be that damage per attack. So basically, this class allows us, it's kind of like a blueprint, right? It has multiple properties on it, but it allows us to create multiple instances of this thing. So not every Pokemon has the same name. Not every Pokemon has the same health. And hey, Zerial, thank you for that Prime sub. Not every Pokemon has the same damage per attack. So this blueprint allows us to create different Pokemon. So we can create this Pokemon here, and then we create this Pokemon, and this one, and each one has their own individual attributes, and that's what using this class allows us to do. We're going to create multiple instances. Each one is unique and slightly different. Okay, so each fighter takes turns attacking the other, and whoever kills the first is victorious. So the way I'm thinking about this is we're going to need some methods on this Pokemon to determine if it has fainted or if it can attack. So I'm going to create a function on this called has fainted. And we know if a Pokemon has fainted if its health is less than or equal to 0. So if this Pokemon's health is less than or equal to 0, it has fainted. This much is true. And then it could probably have another method that's like attack or do damage. Anyone have any thoughts? So basically, hit. Yeah, I like it. Hit. So hit for a certain number of, I like it. Hit. Cool. So you can hit this Pokemon for a certain amount. And when you hit the Pokemon, their health will decrease. So I'll just say this dot health minus equals that amount. So we're actually going to be, so when you create the Pokemon, it has, for instance, 10 health. But then if you hit it for 5, health is going to be decreased by 5, and now the health is 5. Cool. So Pokemons, you can hit them. You can see if they've fainted. And thank you for the posture check. I need to look at all the things that have been redeemed. So we did all the Pokemon cards. This dot health is less than or equal to 0, or this dot name equals Jerry, and this dot 401k is less than or equal to... So Jerry is an accountant, and if his if 401k has gone less than 0, then he loses the battle. Yeah, I like that, Bryn. I mean, we can call it whatever we want, but I like that. Let's say take hit, because it takes in that amount and then modifies its health. Take damage. I like that. Yeah. Naming is one of the hardest things we can do. So, take damage. Is damage with 2 M's? Damage. 1 M. Yeah, health shouldn't go below 0. I mean, basically, we could do that right here. We'll say if this dot health is less than 0, then just set it to 0. Because it shouldn't go negative. But technically, it could go negative if the amount is greater than the amount of health left. Yeah, I mean, and technically, we could take in the attacking Pokemon and access their damage per attack. I like that, honestly. Let's do that. So this it says take damage from a given Pokemon. Now, we know that a Pokemon has damage per attack, right? And so, basically, this Pokemon will take damage from that Pokemon, and that Pokemon has a specific damage per attack. My drink is a yerba mate. We actually have an emote here. Coding yerba? Oh, no, not that. This one. It's a type of tea. Okay. I don't think this is technically dependency injection. It is the two Pokemon need to know about each other. Yeah. To be able to do this. Okay, and I think this is all that we need. So basically, we have these two Pokemon and we have the first attacker. And in Blanky, thank you for the 100 bits. Pokemon Battle Royale in view. They all miss. So they pass in the name of the Pokemon that goes first. Zapdos, Clefairy, Zapdos, Clefairy, Jerry. I'm just thinking we could just say that the one that gets passed in first is the first attacker. I'm just going to do that. So Pokemon 1 attacks first. So I'm going to say while basically these things just need to keep attacking each other, right? And I can say the attacker is going to be Pokemon 1. So the current attacker is Pokemon 1 and the current defender. And actually, I'll just rename these variables. So we'll say current attacker, current defender. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to create our own variables. Current defender. Yeah, you can't do operator overloading. You could create, you could create a function that figures out what the arguments are based on what's passed into it. That's about the best you can get in JavaScript. Okay, so we have the attacker and we have the defender. Now we need these two to attack each other while I guess we want to keep doing this while the current defender's health, or the current defender has not fainted. So I'll say while current defender dot has fainted, has not. So while that thing has not fainted, we're going to say current defender dot take damage from the current attacker. So this will take the current defender, reduce its health by the amount of the damage per attack, and then we need to swap the two. So we need to say the current attacker is equal to the current defender, and well, these need to be reassignable. And the current defender is the current attacker. Now, this isn't going to work because we need a temp variable. We need a temp variable to be able to swap these two things. So let's say temp is going to be the current defender. And then we could say the current defender gets reassigned to be the current attacker, and then I could say the current attacker equals temp. So basically this is just a way of swapping two variables because I have to keep track of one of them because I'm overwriting the other one. Yeah, we actually could use array destructuring to swap the two as well. We can actually, I mean, this is the classic way of doing a swap, but this, so we can say current attacker comma current defender equals the opposite. So if we just switch them here, so if we have current defender comma current attacker, and so this is how you swap using array destructuring. So basically the current attacker becomes the current defender and the current defender becomes the current attacker, and you can basically swap without a temporary variable. Yeah. Okay, so what now? So we swap them, and then if the current defender has fainted, I guess we could check again before it takes damage. So current defender dot name is what we would return. I need to check after the attack. Is that what you mean? Right here? So, yeah, I was going to check outside here, but I think this makes sense. So, we know that the two Pokemon start off as not being fainted, and so the attacker attacks the current defender, and that potentially could make that current defender faint, right? There's no possible way of making the attacker faint from the attacker's attack unless the attacker like reduces its own health, but in this case it won't. So after the defender has taken damage, it's possible that it has fainted, and if it has, we return their name because they are the winner. If it hasn't, we swap the two and do it again. Yeah, the tricky part about so basically I don't necessarily have to do this because it will break out of the while loop. But the reason I did this is because when it breaks out of the while loop, we've already swapped it, right? So I mean, technically I could do while current defender has not fainted. Yeah, because I mean, technically, if the current defender had fainted, yeah, you're right. This should have been current attacker. I mean, I could just say while the current defender has not fainted, and the current attacker has not fainted. So keep going until one of them has fainted. Yeah, and thank you, Doc, for that suggestion. So basically, this says keep iterating until one of them has fainted, and then it's going to bust out of the while loop. But here is a perfect place to check to see if the current defender has fainted. Yeah, should be good. All right, let's run this code. Yeah, and I mean, technically you're right. This could just be an infinite loop because we're going to break out when we're done. So I'm actually just solving a simple coding problem. So the idea with the coding problem is you have two fighters, and they start out with a certain amount of health and a certain damage per attack. And they start a battle. You say which one is the first one to attack. And then you need to determine, based on those stats, who is the Pokemon. In this case, we're using Pokemon, but who is the fighter that would have won? Yeah, so if the current defender has fainted, then we need to return the attacker because they are the winner. Now, did we do it right? Can we get it on the first try? We messed up with Mew versus Zapdos, unfortunately. Every other one we got right. But let's look at the scenario of the second, Mew versus Zapdos. Oh, that's because we tried to specify that the first one wouldn't be the attacker. But we're just assuming that you pass in 2 items, and the first one is the attacker. So our code works. We're done. Actually, I think you're right. This would be the one scenario where do while is actually useful. I think. Let's try it. It should still work. It does. If you do ! theme, you can get a link to all my settings and stuff. But if we say do, and then we just have while here. Does the semicolon go there? I don't even know. So do this. Current defender, take damage from the current attacker. If the current defender has fainted, return the current attacker's name. Swap the 2. I mean, technically, we would have already checked. Honestly, the way we've written this just needs to be a while true loop. Honestly. What's up, Taco Cat? We're just we're implementing Pokemon battling each other. Only a single ! So just ! theme. Take damage just before the condition. Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, we'll do this here. And then, well, no, I need to take the damage before I swap them. And then I actually don't need to do this anymore. Then I can do this outside the do while. So I can say, if current defender has fainted, return current attacker. Otherwise, if current attacker has fainted, wait. It's always going to be current defender. Right? The current defender is always going to be the one that is the, that loses because they're the last one to defend. It's swapped. I mean, we could do this, and we could do this. Because then we swap them. I think this will actually work. And so, takes the damage, and then we know they're the current attacker. Yeah, okay. It looks like it works. I don't know if I like it, though. But this works, because basically we swap them first, which makes it so that Pokemon 1 is the attacker and Pokemon 2 is the defender. Then the defender takes the damage, and if we jump out of this while loop, then we know that the current attacker is the winner, because they're the ones that just attacked. Yeah. All right, I think we're done. This is it. I'm actually not going to run my code on Code Wars because, and hey, TJMRP1, thank you for that resub. Not like this. Wait, no, is that? I missed a hype train. Nobody told me. Is that coding what? Or is that coding not like this? It's coding It looks kind of like not like this. Sort of. Not quite. Okay. This was fun. We made 2 little Pokemons that can attack each other. Now, this code, hey, Tessatura, thank you for the 100 bits. This code wouldn't work if we plugged it into Code Wars because they explicitly want it to be called Fighter. And also they have some other things where they pass in who the first attacker is, but we just assumed who the first attacker was. But that was fun. We simulated a little Pokemon battle. Great work, everyone. It takes the damage on the chin, or else it gets the loop again. It's true. It's just back and forth. Battle, 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 battle. Okay, I have to go. I appreciate you all. Thanks for a ton of support events today. A ton. And anybody that redeemed Hydrate or Posture Check, you get your points back because I didn't see it and I didn't get to do it. So take your points back. But yeah, a ton. Thank you everyone for all the bits. Thank you for all the resubs, all the new follows. Quite a few of you. I appreciate you. 98 of you, in fact. Tons of gifted subs and new subs. Thank you. Thank you. I almost spilled my drink. We are going to do a raid, so get those raid messages ready. If you're a sub, this is your raid message. Like that. If you're not a sub, this is your raid message. Like that, and cheers, yet another Noel from Poland. Very good. I don't know who we're going to raid, but wherever we go, drop a follow if you like what they're doing. Share the love, all that good stuff. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful rest of your week. I do plan to stream on Friday morning around this same time. And we'll probably do a Q&A because it's been a while since we've done a coding Q&A. And so in that show, it's basically ask me anything about coding and we try to answer it. We try to like actually write code to answer questions and stuff like that. Cool. Oh, they're great. Look at that. We're at 299 subs. That's a lot. Alrighty, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here is this.